I am introducing Sofia DeMartino to the stage. She came all the way from DC to be here, and I cannot thank you enough. She has roots in Iowa, but was born, what did you say, in Queens. So I can't imagine having all of that culture in my brain at one time. I think that must lead to a lot of great experiences. She is sharing with us. She loves to do public speaking, and according to her bio, is an empowering woman and loves to empower others. So I'm so glad to have you here. You fit our bill so much, and I appreciate you applying. So welcome to the stage, Sofia.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me? All the way in the back. Y'all can hear me? Okay, on the couch. All right, okay, it's checking. Now, let's be clear. I have other places in my life, but I'm an Iowan for real. Like, I say roof and crick like everybody else, okay? I am an Iowan through and through, and they know it when I start talking. Some of you may know me already. I've spent many years in this city cultivating a life and a purpose and a family. I've been a nonprofit leader. I've been a school board member. I've been a politician. I've done a lot of networking. So many of our experiences with people are surface level. We shake hands and we exchange cards and we make the kind of gentle conversation that Iowans are known for. Oh, it's gonna snow. I have kids. Do you have kids? I love your jacket. Thanks, I got it on sale. It can be scary to go deeper than that because sometimes it's hard to tell what pieces of yourself or what pieces of your conversation partner might drive a wedge between the two of you that can't be overcome. I'm here today not to talk about myself. I'm here to talk about the absolute best networker I have ever met in my life. We met one summer day in undergrad when I showed up late to class and I tried to quietly find an empty seat. I'm like sneaking in, right? She looked up and she saw me and she immediately yelled, "Hey, there's a chair right over here. You can sit with us. Hey, I like your shoes. You with the shoes, come sit here." Oh my God. From that day on, life with Jen was a flurry of introductions and events and excitement. This chick was a force of nature. It wasn't just amazing that she seemed to know everyone. The incredible part was the way she knew them. These relationships were not surface level. She knew everybody's kids. She was in everybody's wedding. She remembered birthdays and she texted you on Christmas. When I ran for city council, she exploded through the door at my campaign announcement. And she wore a bright green tutu to dance down the street with me in a St. Patrick's Day parade. When an abusive relationship exploded in my face, she regularly called me just to check in. How you doing? You okay? Do you need anything? When she was diagnosed with breast cancer, we wore pink tornado t-shirts on a Saturday, and we boogied down 10th Street with 16,000 of our besties in the Especially For You race. When our favorite local pink-haired pop queen put on a show at McGrath, she threw on the brightest pink extensions on the planet and belted every single word from the front row. Jen was my best friend, and I was one of many people lucky enough to say those words and mean it. I hadn't even wanted a best friend. I lost my childhood best friend at 19 to a car accident and another to lupus in 2020. But Jen wouldn't be resisted. You couldn't help but love her. In November of 2022, 3 months after I relocated to DC, Jen left this earthly life. I drove home on a Friday night to be at her celebration of life on a Sunday. During his words to the massive crowd that had gathered, a couple hundred people, Jen's husband described her final weeks. In excruciating pain, she had lowered herself to the living room floor to delicately brush pink paint onto her 3-year-old daughter's toenails. He explained that Jen's biggest fear was her children losing their memories of her. I left the wake and immediately hit the road back to DC, 15 hours overnight. I thought about what he had said the whole way home. I called him up. Would it be okay with you if I did some interviews with the people who knew her best? I would like to put together a book of photos and stories for the kids. Of course, that would be amazing. Please do that. So I began the process of doing interviews. Most were by phone or email, some were by Facebook message, whatever. I heard stories about Jen standing up to bullies in elementary school, her childlike excitement at age 25 flying a kite for the first time, I heard about her travel adventures after a sheltered childhood, the dance battles, her time DJing at Z102.9 after her phone-in rendition of My Humps was so full of personality and talent, they couldn't help but hire her. This is not a joke, that happened. During one interview, my subject made a statement that came across in a way that was a little challenging for me. Jen would be friends with anybody. She didn't care if you were and then began describing races and ethnic identities in terms that were not entirely politically correct. I stopped in mid-sentence. Sir, I just want to say, full disclosure, I am a black. He said, no, I know you are. I remember you from her funeral. Please know this is just as awkward for me as it is for you. There's a reason I'm saying this to you. I'm on a journey to understanding more about diversity because Jen put me on that journey. When I was a kid, I was told to stay away from people who were different than me, so I did. After George Floyd was killed, Jen talked with me a lot about diversity and white privilege and fragility. And I said, did this man just say white privilege and fragility? All right. He said, I know I'm not going to say everything right, but I need to say it. It's important to me because I know this is for the kids, and I want the kids to be like her. I don't want them to be like me. This was a moment of revelation for me. Those of you who know me, if it weren't for our mutual connection with Jen, I would have never made it far enough into that conversation to understand what this man was trying to convey. I would have ended it at his rough attempts to communicate her love for all people because of the language that he used. I would have never known his heart. The greatest lesson that Jen taught me with the way that she lived her life is the importance of finding the humanity in people with whom you don't necessarily have a lot of commonality. A few months later, I interviewed with the Gazette for my third year as an editorial fellow. Every year they ask me, what are you going to write about this year? I told them this story, and I said to them, I believe that we keep the spirit of those that we loved and lost alive by living the lessons that they taught us while they shared our space. So this year, I want to write about people and organizations who are doing the work to build community in this very divided world. This was the birth of the Rainbow House Sessions. On the southwest side of Cedar Rapids sits a 100-year-old house that my youngest daughter and I helped paint in the colors of the rainbow. She was only about 4, so she painted the purple stripe on the bottom. It's an Airbnb. So last summer, I rented it out for a couple days, and I hired Diamond Label Films to record and produce the live interviews that I used to write my columns. Some of the subjects I knew, and some I was meeting for the very first time. We filmed the entire series in one day, and I've been releasing them slowly over the course of the year. There were wardrobe changes. I'm like Cher, it's fine. These change makers, these builders, these mindset shifters, these moms, these entrepreneurs, these incredible humans taught me so much in a single day. Today, I want to impart to you some of the most important pieces from those conversations. The first one through the door was Amanda Ray Campbell of Tire Train Fitness in Marion. Amanda built Tire Train from a one-on-one personal training service in her backyard to a standalone fully equipped gym and an online platform that is changing lives nationwide. The results her clients have achieved are jaw-dropping and based on building strength rather than trying to reach some societal idea of the perfect physique. Amanda's presence is so focused and so down to earth, and her voice is steady as she's eyeing the camera across the room from where we sit on the little green couch. I look down at the questions that I wrote the night before, and I say to her, for many of us, what propelled us into a life of building community was either the need to provide something that we were missing in our own lives or a desire to pay forward the blessings that we received from others. Do you feel either of those is the case for you? Amanda leans back against the green velvet cushion and pauses to consider her words for a moment. Both. This is a pretty emotional topic for me. I come from poverty. We were homeless a couple times. I very much want to provide opportunity for the underdog. What I am giving people is what I would have wanted, whether it's the start of my fitness journey or real life advice. I've had wonderful experiences over time as I started Tire Trained, and I would love to pay that forward. I asked her, what should people know about overcoming obstacles? She said, setting expectations that there will be obstacles is huge. I tell my clients there are going to be difficult times ahead, and you have to find ways to be prepared for them instead of giving up. One example is how terrified we are when we're trying something new. I tell them, be scared, be frustrated. We run away from these feelings, but that's not where the growth happens. Obstacles are a good thing. We talk about failure when it comes to strength training. Reaching failure is a good thing because you're going to walk away from it with information. This statement I find incredibly profound. I would like for you now to take a moment to consider and confer with someone sitting nearest you. What lessons have you learned from failure? I'm going to give you just a few moments to discuss. Ready, go. Yeah, y'all got to meet your neighbor. Okay, if you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap twice. All right. Doing teacher stuff. I need one brave volunteer that is willing to discuss one lesson you learned from failure or somebody else's. Right there.
So I always view failure as not a failure, but as a lesson to learn. So I always learn something from my failures, or if something doesn't work, take it as a learning opportunity.
Beautiful. Thank you. There are prizes. Being a brave volunteer will work out for you. But there's only going to be one volunteer per question. I'm so sorry. So throw that hand up again next time. Okay.
I said failures are transitions.
Absolutely, they are. That's very true. All right. My next interview is with Heidi Gotch. Heidi is an entrepreneur and current president of the Junior League of Cedar Rapids. Her posture reminds me of my mother. She sits like a ballerina with her shoulders aligned and her neck elongated. She is graceful. Heidi tells me about her experience as a newcomer to the city, longing for connection and purpose. She found both in Junior League and has jumped in with both feet to become the kind of leader who believes deeply in building pathways for others to become leaders as well. Heidi had a harrowing experience with becoming a mother, nearly losing her life in the process. I think of my own near-death experiences related to childbirth when I ask her, Oprah defines true philanthropy as giving back that which has been given to you. What does giving back look like from this moment forward? Heidi said, in 2013, when my son was born, I was given a second chance at life. I knew from that moment that life was going to be different. How I lived my life, what consumed my thoughts, and what I did with my time were going to be different. That has transcended every aspect of my life. Living authentically in who I am without worrying what others think, I hope someday that it empowers others to live that way. I hope to document my experiences in a book. Even through struggles, there are blessings on the other side. Imagine for me that today is the day you're going to sit down and write your book. This is the legacy you will leave behind. These words will impact people who pick it up 100 years from this moment. Please turn back to your discussion buddies and let them know one lesson from your life you want to send forward in time. Ready, go. right, I'm watching my timer. If you can hear me, clap once. You can hear me, clap twice. There we go. Thank you. One volunteer. Yes, ma'am.
So, I'm going through a rough breakup right now. But it propelled me to have like this hunger for life because of all the things that drained out of me. So my lesson that I want to send forth into the future is that, I've heard this like from preachers, but it gets greater later.
It gets greater later. I know that's right. I know there's somebody in this room knows something about a rough breakup, okay. Woo. My next interview was with Brianna Smallwood. Brianna Smallwood was a conference speaker at this very conference last year. She is a corporate baddie, a serial entrepreneur, a business mentor, and somebody's mama. A couple years ago, Brianna started a social club called Siren Wednesdays. Brianna and I have spoken many times. She also knows my videographer. I interview her barefoot and tell him to keep my feet out of the shot. We are comfortable in the way that women who understand each other are comfortable. It quiets the ambient noise outside. It stills the whir of the camera. She tells me more about sirens. We have this growing community of women. Sometimes it's 5 of us, sometimes it's 30. I started this thing for selfish reasons. I wanted to be around other women, but I've realized it's so much bigger than me, in that it has served this purpose for others too. I stop her. Women are often so discouraged from prioritizing the things that we actually need. You're calling this a selfish endeavor, but you were just finding a way to meet your needs. I don't know if that's really selfish. I agree, she says, it's self-care. I remember being in a headspace where you could ask me what I liked, and I didn't know what I liked. You could ask me what I wanted to do. I didn't know what I wanted to do. But ask me about my goals for my business. Ask me about my goals for my children. Easy. I could tell you all day long. But to come up with what I liked and what I wanted was very difficult. I'm seeing now that so many women are in that situation. You feel like the problem is you. Women don't talk about it. I continue. We're rewarded for being adaptable to the needs of everyone around us. Then we're a good mother. Then we're a good partner. Then we're a good employee. We've given up everything we needed in the pursuit of what was important for somebody else. Brianna says, that's when we're great. I say, but are we happy? Brianna tilts her head, the smile on her lips. Get back with your new besties. Here's what I want y'all to talk about. Pretend for a moment that none of your current obligations that you're thinking about at this very moment, pretend they don't exist. No one is waiting on a report. You do not have to decide what is for dinner. Your mother does not need to be encouraged to stop driving with macular degeneration. For exactly 1 month, you can do whatever it is that will enrich and engage and excite and empower you. Money is no object. What do you want to invest your time in for the next 30 days? Ready, go. What I do? Your headshots. Oh, thank you. So I'm posting them tonight. Yay!
does, you guys are not real. So you have to not yell over each other.
Gotta turn down the party, you guys.
I'm getting Christmas.
Sorry. Okay. They gonna give me the big room next time. Okay. Do I have one volunteer? What are you doing with your 30 days? Right in the back, I see you.
So my friend has been to Ireland a couple of times, and she talks about how magical it is. And so if we had unlimited funds, we'd go to Ireland for 30 days.
I like it.
Somebody, can y'all pass this back for me? Y'all pass that back to her. Thank you very much.
All right. I do want to let everybody know also that next month is the 2-year anniversary of Siren Wednesdays. Where are you hosting? Hosted at Spare Time. When you hear the siren in the morning, that means you need to go to Spare Time in the evening, okay? 6:30 p.m. Hang out with Brianna and squad. Okay. My next interview is with Eric Gutschmidt. Eric called me 4 years ago and asked me if I wanted to come help paint this house. His company's real estate portfolio has scaled up over a decade, from one house that he rehabbed with his own hands while living on his parents' couch to over 70 doors, including multifamily properties, new builds, and this specific short-term rental property. Eric's global travels and lived experience have provided him a unique perspective on community. I tell him when he walks in that I accidentally got pen on his couch cushion at some point during the day, and the fire detector is under the cabinet, or in the cabinet under the towels, because it wouldn't stop going off while I was blow drying my hair. He laughs and tells me not to tell him if I break anything else. I said to him, Eric, we're sitting in what you call the Clark House, but what will forever be known to me as the Rainbow House. My youngest and I helped paint this house 4 years ago, and I remember you describing its symbolic importance. Will you say more about that? Eric said, I'm a straight white man who grew up on a farm in rural Linn County. I did not interact with people who were different than me until I was an adult. In the bigger picture, I'm not really discriminated against, so I can go about my day with little to no obstructions from society at large. But I see how marginalized groups are actively discriminated against, and I have a choice. I can ignore what's going on around me, or I can stand on the side of what will be viewed as right, in my opinion, in history. I believe the things that I'm doing, even when they're imperfect, and I hope I'll be granted some grace, but I'm doing this with history in mind. This house is painted not just the rainbow flag, but the Pride Plus flag, which has direct ties back to the Stonewall riots and Marsha P. Johnson. This flag is here so that the most marginalized among us can see somebody is raising the flag and saying, you are heard, you are seen, and we embrace you. I responded, in addition to your own projects, you've also devoted time to supporting aspiring property managers, particularly among members of historically marginalized populations. Why is that important? He said, I have the most expertise in real estate and property management, so I can see the way this has been used as a tool to systematically divide people and cause harm. From my perspective, it's been used to harm people, but I believe it can also be used as a tool to help people, and a big piece of that is equity. Gutschmidt goes on to describe the very high percentage of white male landlords in contrast to the disproportionate amount of people of color who are renters rather than homeowners. He said, twice the neighbors have complained about the race of my tenants. Many times people have complained that I shouldn't rent to people from Chicago or use similar coded language. People of color are renting from people who don't share the same background and life experiences. We need more access and more diversity in these rooms of power. This is a challenging one, okay? But I want you all to understand that in this room, there is grace. In this room, we can be honest. In this room, we are going to pursue connection, even in the spaces where it's difficult. I would like for you to once again turn to your neighbors and talk quietly with them. I want you to discuss one thing that you've had an opportunity to learn about someone who has a different background, a different lived experience, a different perspective than you.
how I would have warned them.
How the acoustics
Yeah.
work. Yeah.
Well, you can turn this up a little bit. Although I think they can hear you fine.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. I'm a projector. Okay, I'm gonna bring it back, guys. If you can hear me clap once. You can hear me clap twice. You can hear me clap 3 times. There we go. All right. Who's gonna be brave now? I knew it. Go ahead, girl. This is a safe space. We're just gonna say it. Ah, yes.
And so we were talking about, like, Napoya has a good friend who went from male to female, and she considers past self as dead.
Yes.
And that's a whole thing. And
Yeah.
then I shared that I have employees, I have 2 of them that have pronouns they, them.
Yes.
And one of them looks like she. And so I have had to retrain myself. I've been, in meetings have been called out and had to, get with them personally one-on-one to apologize. Because I'll be in a meeting where I say, oh my gosh, and she did this really beautiful report, it's so helpful, here's the pros and the cons, and they'll chat me and say them with a little asterisk star, and I have to remind myself that when I'm talking about them, they are a them, they're not a she, and they kind of look like a, so it's like, I think the real basis of our conversation was like just understanding that when you are, when you're exposed to things that you weren't normal or weren't a part of your life as you were growing up and developing, you literally have to retrain the way that you think and the way that you act out of respect for that other person.
Yeah.
And that's been interesting.
And that can be really difficult sometimes. Let me tell you, so this is an off the cuff. So I had an experience recently. I've been sort of, I'm a year and a half into DC, so I'm like wandering around and testing out churches now, right? And so I went to a Black Baptist church in Virginia. And the pastor, during Black History Month, from the pulpit said, there are people who unfortunately will use scripture and try and use religion to oppress queer people and women the way that they used it to oppress us. And I was like, did he just say that out loud? Did y'all hear that? I was like, whoa. It was really, really a new experience for me to hear that in that setting. So I think that although it's challenging, reaching out to find those points of connection is super important. Do you already have one of these? I thought you did. Okay. So I just want y'all to know what I'm giving away. This is the gratitude journal from Kimberly Fitton, who recently teamed up with Miss Brianna here to put on an event of their own. This journal is just a great way to sort of center yourself. I do mine in the morning. I like to do my little early morning champion routine. James Klein told me I have to call it a champion routine and not say I'm a nerd anymore, so I'm working on myself. So, but that's what I'm giving out. Okay, since you already have one, does anybody who doesn't have one want to share? We're going to let them volunteer themselves. Anybody else want to be brave? Yes, ma'am.
I've lived a lot longer than a lot of people. And I was telling her, I remember growing up in Des Moines,
Yeah.
and all I wanted to do was fit in. And as a white girl, it was pretty easy, right? But I was also a foster kid, so I hid a lot of things.
Me
right?
too.
And as we progressed, right, we're not there yet, but we're finally not trying to fit in anymore. We finally get to be ourselves
Yeah.
and be able to celebrate that and educate people. Now, there's a lot of people my age who haven't arrived this far.
Yeah.
But I work with all kinds of people. And I love that fact because I can see myself in everyone. Because I also try to hide.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That was a bar right there. I can see myself in all kinds of people because I too tried to hide. That's huge. That's huge. Good share. See, this is hard. I'm used to talking about me, so this is I'm like, oh, I was a foster kid too. No. Stay on track. Okay. There is one more interview that has not yet been released. You guys are the first to know what that interview is. I'm really excited about it. It is Nate Klein and Patty Seda, who I interviewed for the Mother's Day release. So that'll be coming out in May. And I don't want to go too much into what we talked about just because, it hasn't come out yet and I want people to actually read it and watch it and stuff. But if you know these two, who in here knows either of these people? Yeah, they're such a good time, right? They're amazing. They're like community builders on steroids. It's incredible. And the way that they operate together, that dynamic is just, if you can get these two in a room, do it. Do it. The work I have done of honoring my friend by living her legacy has been incredibly well received. Last month, I was honored with a Master Columnist Award at the Iowa Newspaper Association. Thank you. It was a historic opportunity. First of all, I didn't go to school for journalism, right? I was talked into doing this by my former boss. And I resisted a little bit. Oh, I don't really want to. I don't care. Go do it. Fine. He made it other duties as assigned. So what are you going to do? So I write for the paper now. But as a fellow and not a staff journalist, nobody has ever won this award in that way before. I called the association up afterwards to say, hey, has there ever been another Black recipient of this award? And they said, oh, we didn't ever keep track. I don't know. But it's entirely possible I'm also the first Black recipient of that award as well. I think that the world is starving for some humanity in the midst of the chaos that we're experiencing. And I say that with full knowledge that we are approaching November. I want to close my remarks today and open for questions, but I want to close with a letter to Jen, the inspiration for this work. Sparkalina, I love you 2 times. I firmly believe that we keep the spirit of those that we most cherish alive by working to embody the joy they brought to this world. Because you bless me with your time and your presence, I love a little harder. I laugh a little louder. I sing a little more freely. I dance like everybody is lucky to be watching. I speak up for those who need a friend. I embrace those who didn't even know they needed it yet. I make everybody my new best friend. You too. You have made so many of us better humans. Thank you. Love, Fifi. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Can I open for questions or they can't ask me anything?
They can. I was
Okay.
just going to let
You
you
got
know.
like 3 minutes.
No, you have like 10.
Oh, we got like 10.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, like 8. But yeah, thank you guys for all your patience while we're working on this sound situation. We'll get it by the last session.
We're doing amazing.
Yeah, we're doing great. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody have any questions about literally anything? This is your moment to get personal obnoxious. What's up? What's up? You.
I just have a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to thank you for the tribute to Jen. She was a beautiful soul. I loved her. She was one of the first professionals that came into my son's life to help him with mental health.
Wonderful.
And we were friends since the day she walked through my door.
You can't help it. You literally can't. Yes, ma'am.
Where can we see the episodes?
So they are on the Gazette's YouTube page. And if you put into YouTube just Rainbow House Sessions, well, now there's some band that's using it or whatever, but like there wasn't when I got started. But you'll find me. I'm there. Yes, ma'am.
What would be your answer to if you had to write a book? And what would be the
Oh, baby, you know I'm writing a book. Come on.
share?
I will share about the book that I am writing, yes. So it is called All Over the Place for a litany of reasons, not the least of which is that I literally went to 19 schools. Yeah, did a little moving. But so the way that I wrote my columns for the Gazette, the first year they said, what are you going to write? I said, I'm going to write about these big issues, right? I'm going to write about things I know, so like redlining and being black in Iowa and senior issues because I ran Meals on Wheels for 8 years and like teen momming and black maternal health. And so they were like, cool, go do it. I was like, yes, okay. Second year, what are you going to write about? I said, I'm going to write stories about individuals who have experienced these larger issues so that we know, oh, it's like my neighbor Fred. It's not just some abstract concept that's far away from myself. And they were like, okay, cool, do it. So I have like all these individual interviews. And then the third year, obviously, this is what I wrote. The book itself is essentially going to be those larger issues and then the people that it impacted on the local level and then how those issues touched my life. So that it's broken down into segments that way and so that I have people that make me do things by a deadline so that it actually gets done. Because did I write this at 4 a.m., this speech? Yeah, I did. Yeah. Yeah. Anybody else? Questions, thoughts, concerns? Rage? Anybody just want to scream? What's up?
I was going to say this for last, but I just have to say, if you guys don't know Sophia personally, she's somebody to know. And the way that she just used this space today to literally highlight everybody else around her is true to her character at all times.
Oh, geez.
Every single article that she's ever put out in the Gazette is about someone else. She brought one of our other really good friends' journals that just got published maybe 6 weeks ago to give as door prizes during this talk. So it's just like, I just love you. And I just am so grateful for you because the way that you are constantly rallying for everybody else. You know, you always talk about how inspired you are by the community that people around you are creating. I don't think that you even realize that you yourself create it everywhere you go. So there's that. And I'm a staffer, so you'll hear me.
All right now. Thank you. So yesterday morning, I actually had a mentor breakfast. And what I mean when I say that is that I didn't know I could be a leader until somebody told me I could, right? So the people that I invited were Nancy Sauerman, who spent like 40 years teaching out at Kirkwood. She was my faculty advisor when I was the president of the Kirkwood Political Club. And she was the first person, like, I had showed up and was just there for a while, kind of floating. I was like, yeah, I can be the secretary, whatever. And she was like, you should be the president. I was like, the what? I should be the who? And she was like, no, like, you can do that. Like, you can lead this. And I was like, I can? Oh my God. And so, like, I did. And I was like, oh, I did that. Amazing. Like, I met Obama before he was running. Like, I did all these crazy things. You know, it's wild for a teen mom who wasn't supposed to survive, like, 2 births of children before she was old enough to vote. It's nuts. I also invited Mert Bowers. So Mert was my interim director at Meals on Wheels, and she literally showed me how to do everything for a solid month before she left, and I was sort of out there on my own. Now, this was a crazy experience. I had only been an individual contributor. Like, I was working in a cubicle before that, doing insurance claims. So to go from that to now you have 40 employees, good luck. Oh boy, don't screw it up. Yeah, I'm responsible for making sure that 1,500 people are getting the right amount of nutrition and getting their meals every day, and rain or shine, and snow, and 5 feet of snow, and oh my God, Iowa. Pandemics, floods, what? Yeah, all of that was now my purview. So it was incredibly important for me to have her to lead me through that process. I also invited Cindy Nodorf. Cindy is the individual at the insurance company I was working for that was the premier sponsor of the IWLC conference at the time. And she said, would anybody be willing to, run these volunteers? And I was, Nancy said I could lead. Can I lead this? And Cindy was like, yeah, go. Oh my God, amazing. So I did. And I had this opportunity to go to the conference, which was crazy. Like, I'd never been to a conference in my life. And I had the opportunity to go. And the first thing that I learned is that men will apply for a job when they have 50% of the requirements, and women will wait until they have 90. I was like, what? So I sat down and thought about what I really wanted to be doing. I want to make my community healthier. I want to make enough money that I don't have to work 50 hours a week and watch my baby grow up on my phone from daycare over the camera. Like, I want to make a difference. And I saw a job that looked like I could do half of that, and I was like, done, I'm applying, before I could tell myself no. 5 interviews later, double man, come change my life. What? Like, so I invited all of these incredible women to breakfast, and what was crazy about it was I was like, I want to give them their flowers. We're all aging. I got some grays I haven't dealt with. We're all age. I want to give these women their flowers because they have made so much possible for me. And what I learned is that in retirement, one of them is now a hospital advocate for Waypoint. One of them is the president of AAUW. Like, their lives have continued to change and evolve and grow in the way that they interact with the community. They are still building. So it never ends. And I'm super excited for aging in a way that I wasn't, because I'm turning 40 this year. I'm turning 40 this. 40 is the new, you know what? I've been 22 so long. It's fine. But I'm excited for what comes next and what the world is going to look like as we grow. So thank you so much.